Excellent, excellent. Welcome, everyone. I am Cara Bradley. I'm here with my friend and partner, Tracy Alston. We are here and excited to chat with you about best practices to get mentally fit. We're going to define what mental fitness is. We're going to help you understand what you're doing, what you can be doing, and really what does it mean to live in a world being more mentally fit. It's a buzzword that's been thrown around a lot more these days. It's something Tracy and I have been working in this field for quite a while. So as I continue to allow people in, just know you can turn your video camera off and mute yourself. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to have Tracy introduce herself. So I have been really an investigator of the body and mind my entire life from a personal curiosity. But I've also been a teacher of body and mind practices since I was 15 years old. So I was a professional skater, and I've been involved in the world of physical fitness and meditation and yoga for the last 40 years. I can't believe I'm even saying those numbers. My curiosity and my investigation, and also my love for teaching others, it centers around the intelligence of our body and how, when our body systems are working in sync with our mind, we just feel better. We feel alive. And so I am coming at you here today to share really years and years of practice and years of teaching others how to feel and perform their best. And Tracy, I'm going to hand it over to you to give us a little bit of your background.
Yes, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being on this call. I just want to say hats off to yourselves. Make sure everybody on this call pats yourself on the back, because you are investing in your own mental fitness. And so this is what this is about: tools for us to stay better, feel better, perform better. So my background, I'm a licensed clinician in mental health. I'm also a former athlete. So starting out, basketball was my sport, is my sport. Recognizing very early on, played college basketball at Wake Forest University. I actually have a teammate on the call with me here today, Letitia Pearson, Tish's Dishes. But really learned very quickly as a competitive athlete through high school, but also going into college, winning at a top level, performing at a peak level in high school, then getting off into college. In that world, wins and losses were happening more than wins. And so I think we learned very quickly that it wasn't just about how physical and our physicality, it was also some mental going into that. And so I don't think I really tapped into that as much until I got into college, recognizing it's not just about the physicality piece that we hold and the ability that we have athletically, but that mental piece, your confidence, your mindset, what you're saying to yourself on a daily basis, getting into some more mind-body practices like Cara's talking about with breathing. So I learned about some of those tools and techniques throughout college. I also went on to be a college assistant women's basketball coach at Lenoir University while getting my master's in counseling. So I was able to do some of the psychology side along with the sports side. And as a licensed clinician, I've seen things ranging from attention deficit disorders, anxiety, trauma, stress, sleep issues. Looking and hearing about things like that from our clinical population, I got a chance to investigate more of the mind and body through a service called neurofeedback and biofeedback, which we'll talk about that some throughout our call. I won't get into that right now. But that's just a brief overview of who I am: mental performance consultant, licensed professional counselor, board certified in bio-neurofeedback, and happy to be here tonight.
Yeah, well, Tracy, I think what's really interesting about what you and I have to share with others is, we were both athletes, competitive athletes. I also ran track in college at Division I level. And so I've had those experiences of coming in last place, of not being able to finish the race, of losing my steam mid-race. Like we understand what the mechanics of what's happening in the body mind, but also we have the lived experience as athletes of, face planting, if you will. So what I'd love to share with everybody, we're going to get into what is this thing called mental fitness. But first I'm going to share my screen, and what I'd love for you to share with us, Tracy, is some of what you're seeing in your day-to-day work with clients. And I'm just going to introduce quickly this mental wellness continuum. It's a mental fitness continuum, if you will. And it might give you a good idea for all of you watching of where you may land. And you don't need a specific number, 1 through 10, but where do you land on a day-to-day basis on this continuum? We have at the 1 to 3 to 4, they call it disease status, right? We have our diagnoses, if you will, down at the 1 through 4. The normal range, which is interesting, it's kind of a typical range, is more what we're calling in psychology these days as languishing. So we think about normal, most of us, we're tired, we're tense, we're sad, we've got brain fog, headaches, acne, and muscle pain, bloated, chubby, right? And then we have our optimized, and the optimized 8, 9, 10, this is where we start talking about being mentally fit, where we're energetic, we're calm, happy, sharp, creative, rarely sick, flexible mentally and physically. And so what I'd love to hear from you all is in the chat, if there are anything in particular that's kind of jumped off the screen, like, oh my goodness, yep, I'm that. Or if you want to assign a number to yourself, you can do that as well if you want to pick a number. But from Tracy, what I'd love to hear from you is, based on this continuum, what are you seeing with your clients, with your athletes, with your students, with the adults, with the parents, all the kinds of people that you see day in and day out?
Absolutely. I see a range of people day in and day out. And I want to start kind of with our kids, some of the things that we see with our kids, because depending on the age, depending on their communication abilities, they all kind of verbalize how they're feeling very differently. So a lot of the kids that come into our office, whether they're saying they have headaches, they have stomach aches, they may be withdrawing. I know a lot of these things that are going on now, getting less social and active. So we're seeing that quite often where they're not able to really describe how they're feeling, but they're saying, you know what, I just don't feel like going out. I just don't have the motivation that I had before. And so that energy level is kind of declining. That motivation is declining. So a lot of our kids are coming in with some of these symptoms that may be showing and manifesting in their bodies, but they might not be able to quite communicate how that is, they might not call it sad or anxious or stressed. They may say, I have stomach aches, I have headaches, I don't feel like going to school today. Maybe they are looking like they don't hang out with that same friend group like they used to quite as often. So from our kids, I'm seeing a lot of things come up physically as they express kind of how they're feeling. My adults, it's a range, because what I'm noticing, our adulting, we're all kind of in that place. Adulting, it's real life. And most of the time you're taking care of other people. So a lot of our adults are chauffeurs, right? So they're taking care of the kids' schedule, their spouse's schedule, the home schedule, their work schedule, the employee schedule. Everybody else's schedule is on the list except for themselves. So a lot of what I'm seeing there is some of that sadness, depression, anxiety, lack of motivation and interest. Some people having that guilt, self-doubt, not sure what their value or worth is or where they might place in their family or their structure. And so I'm seeing a range, Cara, of these things on the list. And some of my clients already have the labels. If you go to the 1, 2, 3, they're presenting with these symptoms, and now they already have the labels of depression and anxiety and autoimmune type issues going on there. So we're seeing a range of things going on right now.
Wow. I mean, and listen, we're not here to further depress anybody or to put you into like, oh my gosh, I'm a 3 or I'm a 4. It's really just to start to spark some conversation and some of your own curiosity about how am I feeling? What is going on for me right now? I mean, there's a lot out there, guys. Listen, we go on social media and everyone's got solutions to everything. Everyone's kind of telling you what to do. You should be doing this in the morning and this at night. And what we want to do here is just to educate you on what we're seeing, and then what we're seeing as best practices to start to shift the physical, to start to settle the nervous system, to start to allow yourself to sleep better. And our system is one system. And when one area is out of whack, other areas are out of whack. And I know that I speak for Tracy and myself here, is the importance of taking it all seriously, even though it may not seem like it's top of the list for you. And so that's what we want to share with you today. And so from my vantage point, and I owned a yoga studio and meditation center for 16 years. I taught, thousands and thousands of classes, and continue to work with people one-on-one and in small groups. And I think for me, so my work is different than Tracy's. I don't get into the clinical side, right? So I'm not necessarily supporting people with 1, 2, 3, perhaps even 4. The work that I do and I see are mostly with the people that are in this languishing phase, the normal, like we call it normal, but is it? Right? It is where we're really languishing. And I would say the 2 words that come up the most with the people that I work with is overwhelm and burnout. Overwhelm and burnout. And so I think it's important that we all recognize, how we're using words. I just did a TikTok yesterday. It was about crazy busy, that we're all talking about being so crazy busy. Well, just even those words, honestly, kind of stress me out a little bit. They kind of trigger my nervous system. So we want to watch the words that we're using just day in and day out, but also be honest with ourselves. And that's why I love this continuum, because the words here are pretty direct, and they kind of say it as it is. So I'm going to stop sharing here, Tracy, and
Okay.
love to, thank you for your comments, by the way. I really appreciate you saying, how it is you're feeling. And I think it's all starts with awareness. Isn't that right, Tracy, when you're working with your people?
That is big. Awareness is key. I think you nailed it, because a lot of times we don't know. And so when people say, how do you feel? It's like, wait a minute, how do I feel? And what does that even mean? And I'm pretty sure as people are looking at some of that continuum, to see some of those terminologies labeled as normal could be a sense of relief for people, because day in and day out, if you're feeling tired or brain fog or sluggish, you could begin to have these thoughts that something is wrong with me. No, your body gives you information. It's all information that we can use to do something about. So if you are hanging out between that 4 and 7, just being mindful, kind of like you're talking about, Cara, being mindful that we got to put some tools in place so we don't swing down into that lower area. And if you want to swing up, you can put some tools in place so you can swing up to the higher performance area. So think about this as all information, all very vital to us being and feeling our best.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. So we kind of laid the groundwork of where we're at, how we're feeling. And, we don't want you to lose hope here, because in my experience, in the people that I've worked with, and Tracy and the people she's worked with, we have both seen people go from a 3 and a 4 all the way up to a 7, 8, or a 9. I've seen myself when I started really investigating this from a body-mind perspective, perspective. I think I was around a 6. And I honestly, these days, I'm kind of hanging out at the 9 level. So we don't want you to lose hope. What we want to do is to put some really important tools in your pocket. And I think most importantly, Tracy, is what I feel like I want to share from every cell in my being is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Like, your body knows how to heal itself. And so what we hope to do in sharing these practices is to help you see how simple it can be. So I'm going to start off by sharing my 5 core practices for mental fitness. And what I'll do, and then Tracy, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share what you are saying day in and day out with your clients. So mental fitness for me comes down to three simple words: strong, calm, clear, both mentally and physically. When we feel strong, calm, and clear, what that's a good indication of is that our body and our mind are synchronized, are harmonized, are working together. We don't have a super tired or toxic body and we're trying to fix our mind up here, right? Or the other way around, where our mind is cluttered and busy and we're super fit, right? We want to make sure that we've got a good balance of self-care practices, of daily habits and routines, so that our body and mind can work together. The 5 core practices that I share, and I will share tomorrow in an email, this action grid. The 5 major core practices that will help you to feel strong, calm, and clear every day more consistently. The first is movement. We know this, right? This isn't new information. But movement doesn't mean you have to have on your yoga pants and you have to be on the elliptical, you have to be doing the HIIT training, or you have to be running. Movement could be just getting up every 20 minutes from your desk and moving your spine and stretching your arms up, going and taking a quick walk, going to the mail, get the mail, whatever that means. Let's use movement in a new way. Let's redefine our relationship with movement, because it is one of the 5, and I think one of the most important core practices. The second is nutrition. We're going to get into some more specifics in a little bit, but our nutrition, our food, is our mood. What we eat has direct impact on how we feel mentally. I mean, listen, ask any school teacher about November 1st in the classroom, and they'll just tell you, like, no, like, I just want to stay home, because you think about kids' moods from all the sugar. So we'll get into this a little bit more. The third core practice, and Tracy, you could certainly expand on this, is sleep. Without sleep, without that time for our body and our brain to rejuvenate, to detox, to heal, to recover, we're toast. I mean, over time, we can have a couple of nights bad sleep, but if it is something that's happening night after night, we're going to stay down at that lower end of the continuum. It's just reality. The last 2 are a little bit less known. And tomorrow in the email, you'll get more explanation. The 4th practice is connection. And it could be connection with body, with breath, with source, with nature, with people, with pets, connecting with something. And then the 5th one is exploring the world, learning new things, doing new things, going to new places, exploring, taking time for your hobbies and your curiosities. So those are the 5 core practices that I like to teach to build mental fitness. And Tracy, I'd love to hear from you with your neurofeedback, biofeedback, and your life's experience, how else how you would embellish on those or add some more.
Yes, so I would definitely say, starting out, that my definition of how I see what mental fitness is for me right now, and I do say right now because as I continue to evolve and grow, the definition that I use continues to evolve and grow. But for now, I would say mental fitness is about endurance. As cliche as it may sound, I really truly believe that life is a marathon, not a sprint. And so a lot of things that I talk about on a daily basis is that it's not about if life happens, but when life happens, are we mentally fit and mentally equipped to handle it? So a lot of the work that we do in my companies, whether we're dealing with clinical mental health disorders or high performance athletes or executives or people in general, we're looking at how do we endure and become mentally fit to handle the realities of life. And so where we start in my practices is with an initial brain mapping assessment. It gives us that information, kind of like Cara, you just showed that continuum. Where are we? It gives us so much information about where we are, our thoughts, our sleep quality, our processing. So we start off with something like that so that people have a clear understanding of how they feel, connecting that to what their actual brain is doing. Then we're able to use tools like neurofeedback, which is a way that we can begin to train the brain, train the body on how to respond better to stress, become more resilient. So we use technology that literally shows us where we are in real time. So every single day, we're able to work with people starting out at a place, but also being able to kind of help them get to a place, to get there, allowing the brain to do what it does naturally, kind of get through these pathways. And here recently, connecting with Cara, I'm into the more of the research of the gut brain, the nutrition. And so that has also evolved in my practices now, really kind of having some work around that, adding another tool that we'll talk about here shortly on how to optimize, how to feel better from a body-mind perspective. Because it's all about communication, it's all about connection. And if any signaling is off, if there's poor signaling from the brain to the gut or the gut to the brain, it's all down here from there. So that's some of the pathways in which we kind of begin some of our work, but we bring it all together.
Yeah. And Tracy, can you talk a little bit about the biofeedback and just the importance of breath? Like what I said earlier, I really want to drive home for you all is that these practices and the things that we're offering that so far is very simple and common sense. And the breath, if anything, it is like it is at our fingertips, literally at our nose tip, to shift our state, to continue to shift how we feel.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that calms everything, your entire nervous system down, just like that. A lot of times when we think about breathing, because we've done this since we were born, you breathe to come in this world and you also take a breath to go out. So that's how powerful our breath is, but we don't spend enough time nor attention there. So with tools like biofeedback technology, it allows us to see heart rate variability, your muscle tension, your stress response, but you can see in real time just how powerful your breath is by changing the rhythm or the pattern of your breath. And so one of those tools is really a deep breathing practice. Because we are so busy, go, 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 a lot of us have become short, shallow chest breathers. And that is not going to allow oxygen to get down one to your belly or to come up to your brain. So spending more time in just a mindful, deep breathing practice can literally be healing for your mind and your body. And so that's one of those free tools that we do every day, but we don't take advantage of it like we need to.
What is the count? Because as you were talking, I don't know if any of you were doing this, but I started breathing more deeply as you were talking about the breath, like, oh my God, I'm not even breathing. What is the count of breath that you recommend?
So
Maybe
what
you
I
could just
do,
take us through like 2 or 3 rounds.
absolutely. I would love for you guys, what I teach is called a 4-2-4-1 breathing pattern. You can also go and download my app. It's called Breathe In, Mind On. We'll put that in the chat. But it's a 4-2-4-1 breathing pattern. And that pattern literally can get you more to a calm, relaxed, focused state within 2 to 3 minutes time. And so we definitely recommend you implementing this into your daily practice. And so how you do that, if you can kind of just get comfortable where you are, if you're driving while you're listening to this or whatever you're doing, just do this on the recording later, but just find yourself in a comfortable position, kind of move your shoulders back just a little bit, lift your chest up if you are sitting down. And I just want you to just close your eyes if you're comfortable or keep them open. But you're going to take a deep breath in. When I say a deep breath, you're going to focus on breathing in through your nose and you're going to push your belly out. So you're going to really work on getting that belly pushed out. I'm going to show you here what that looks like. So you're going to see my belly just expand. So I'm going to breathe in for a 4 count and I'm going to push my belly out. Breathe in through my nose. I'm going to hold that breath for 2 seconds. I'm going to breathe out through my mouth for 4. I'm going to hold that breath for 1 second. Think about that as one complete cycle. I want to do that at least 8 to 12 times. So we're going to do that again, okay? We're going to breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath for 2. Out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath for 1. Breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath for 2. Out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath for 1. That 4-2-4-1, if you can add that into your life 2 to 3 times a day, 2 to 3 minutes a day, I promise you it will change your world. It will change your world. From turning your brain on to helping you sleep better, to removing some of that fog, getting you more clear. But one of the most important things, you're going to feel calm and centered pretty quickly. Okay.
Thank you.
What
And
you feel like?
I do already. And you know, I want to encourage you all to remember this. Don't be fooled by the simplicity of what you just learned.
Yeah.
Our bodies, our body, mind, are all of the systems that we were born with are doing their darndest to keep us balanced. Breath, movement, stillness, silence, connection through prayer or meditation, good whole food nutrition, sleep and recovery, exploration and curiosity. These are things that we can't put to the end of the day and expect to move up that continuum. So what Tracy and I would love to share with you is really what we came together around over the last couple of years. And it has changed the course of how both Tracy and I work with people. And that's around the gut-brain connection. And so I'm going to share my screen again and love to have your questions as we go through. So once again, you know, is this mental wellness continuum? I have been teaching for a long time, and I would see people just kind of hanging out in the 5, 6, 7 and thinking, how do I get them to the 8, 9, even 10? How can I be a better yoga teacher, a better meditation teacher? What else can I do? And when I learned about the new science of how our gut health directly impacts our mental clarity, our ability to focus, our mood, and our sleep, and so much more, I felt like I found a missing piece in a puzzle. Not the only piece, but a piece in a puzzle of all that we've been talking about here. So one of the things that we have learned recently through research, and it's been maybe 6, 8 years that we've really learned more about how the gut and the brain communicate, is that most of 90% of our feel-good neurotransmitters, like dopamine and serotonin and GABA and norepinephrine, and if these words are like, you know, a foreign language to you, it's okay. These neurotransmitters we now know, are produced in our gut and communicated up through our body, through our nervous system and our immune system. And this is what Tracy was talking about before, about the signaling, the communication, the text messages, if you will, from gut to brain. It's actually gut to heart to brain, and brain to heart to gut. And there's this constant communication via these highways in our body. And I'm keeping it very simple, the immune system and the nervous system. So when our gut is out of balance, and it becomes out of balance for 4 simple reasons. One is stress, right? Who's not dealing with stress these days? So stress will throw off our gut ecology. Poor nutrition will throw off our gut ecology and the production of these neurotransmitters, environmental toxins, and pharmaceuticals. So we are, you know, walking around with all of these different stimuli that are either helping or hurting the signaling between our gut and our brain. And so we have learned, and Tracy and I have come together as partners in representing the prime leader in this gut brain space for mental wellness. So before I go on there, Tracy, I'd love to hear, because I know for you, you had your own aha around gut brain health like I did. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on products now, I think almost 2.5, almost 3 years. And what I noticed for myself, so I had a major loss in my life in 2019. I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer. And I've always been one like, oh my gosh, thinking if I ever lost anybody like that, how do you go on? So thankfully, I was already using some tools in place, and I had just come into contact with Cara and starting on some of the mental wellness supplementations. And when I tell you, just in terms of mood, energy, the ability, resilience. And so when I talk about mental fitness, for me being endurance, being able to endure, being able to be resilient through some of the toughest moments in my life. And so what I noticed for myself is I feel better. I'm already what people might consider a high energy person. But like Cara saying, I feel like now I'm pushing that 8 and 9. Maybe I was hanging out at 6 and 7, but I feel like I'm pushing 8 and 9 consistently. And so it's not just about can we do things one day off, one day on, but can we be consistent? And so for me, that's what I'm finding most beneficial in my own personal life, in my own personal journey. I'm able to show up for things, engage in different practices and tools, and really feel consistent and energetic all throughout. And I'm sleeping so good. And as the schedule kind of gets going, being able to shut your brain off and go to sleep and wake up truly feeling refreshed and recovered is a game changer. A lot of times people don't even realize they're not sleeping with good quality until you've had good quality sleep.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's life changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this fancy slide that I have up here is really talking about the fundamentals pack, which is this keystone gut brain protocol that Tracy and I really, found each other around.
Yeah.
Because here I was teaching yoga, meditation, mental performance, and strength training, and Tracy's working with athletes as well, teaching neurofeedback, biofeedback, and we both were saying, wow, the body is so key to our mental health. And if we could just start at the basement, right, the gut, and improve the gut as best we can, then it's going to impact right up the chain, right to the brain and to our mood states and how we perform in the world. So the Amari Fundamentals Pack is where really Tracy and I had many a laughs talking about this, because we both had such incredible experiences personally when we started on this pack. The clinical studies around, and I'll explain what it is, but have been some clinical studies around the Fundamentals Pack, which shows that when you have an increase in the right bacteria in your gut, you're going to have incredible benefits and incredible improvements in your mental health. And so we can see here that by introducing the right probiotics, prebiotics into our gut ecology, we can see it may lead to some lowering of tension, depression, anger, fatigue, confusion, and increased vigor. And look at some of those percentages. So I'm going to flip a little bit further forward, and then I'll come back. What Tracy and I are really lead with our clients these days is this Amari's Fundamental Pack. So when I have somebody come to me and say, Cara, I'm kind of at a 4 or a 5 or a 6, I'm feeling like I'm languishing. They may not use those words because that's a psychological term. I feel like crap. I'm overwhelmed. I'm burned out. I can't think straight. These are the words that I hear. What I'm hearing is there's sluggishness or poor signaling between the gut and the brain. And if we can start at the basement floor and start to improve what's happening at the gut, at the axis, the immune system and the nervous system, and improving some cognitive function, well, now this person, as I felt, is going to have brain fog lift, is going to feel more energized, is going to feel happier, is going to feel like now I could go and move a little more, eat a little bit healthier. So this is in some ways a nudge for our bodies on that continuum up a number or two, so that we can then get into doing the things that we know are going to keep us consistently healthy. And so this is the Amari's Fundamental Pack. There are 3 products. One is the Menta Focus, which is boosting cognitive functioning. One is the Menta Sync, which is helping to decrease inflammation in the body and increase stress resiliency. And the Mentabiotics, which are specific strains of probiotics and prebiotic fibers that are targeting mental wellness specifically. So it's not your probiotics that you'd buy in the store. These are proprietary blends formulated to target the gut-brain axis for improved mental wellness. And as I said before, showed before, these clinical studies show, yes, indeed, when we give the gut a boost with the right probiotic, prebiotics, when we decrease inflammation and we start to increase stress resiliency, our nervous system becomes more calm and clear. Well, then what's going to happen is we're going to just feel a whole heck of a lot better mentally.
I love that. I want to add one thing to that,
Please.
Cara. As you're talking about the basement, I love that this is called fundamentals, because it literally gets us back to the basics. As a former athlete, I remember as you're kind of doing different things, you're learning different things, but most of the time it's just go back to the basics. And I think about this, and I liken what this pack does as the connector. It's the connector. You know, our mind and body is so intelligent. It can heal, it can revive itself, but it just needs the right communication. So this really is like the connector, from connecting all of our communication signals into one place. And so if you have a toaster, it can toast your toast, but if it's not plugged in, you just have a toaster. That's the same thing with who we are. If we're not plugged in from every level, it's just a toaster. You know, you're brilliant, you're intelligent, you can heal, you can feel good. We just need the right information to be signaling in there. So I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. Well, and I love this, Tracy. And, listen, guys, Tracy and I have both been in businesses for a long time, and, really, really from the bottom of our hearts want to help people feel better. And I know for me, I have investigated many, many different ways and practices and how can I be a better teacher. And I can't not talk about gut health and gut brain health anymore. Like, I can't teach meditation without talking about gut brain health, teach yoga without talking about gut brain health, because I've seen such incredible results personally and with so many people that I've worked with. And I know, Tracy, for you as well, that we've worked together on that step 1
Yes.
in your protocol.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just one more thing, and then we'll take some questions. There is one other protocol that we also recommend, and it's called the Happy Juice. And there's ways to mix and mix and play with the fundamentals and the Happy Juice. The Happy Juice is a great drink. I have it every single morning. It is for she's having it right now. It is quick acting mental energy, physical energy, motivation, dopamine enhancing, and it's also the gut brain support that we talked about, the probiotic prebiotic blend. So we usually recommend one or the other, or a mixture of 2 is where I usually like to go, is a little bit of both, the fundamentals and the Happy Juice, to really help you start your day, feel clearer, feel more energized without jitters. And one thing that I'll say is that it's all plant, all natural, no GMO, no gluten, the highest grade of ingredients that you can possibly bring into natural solutions.
Yeah, the Happy Juices, that is my jam. And as you were talking about the start to the day, it's also a really good afternoon. Like, so 3-4 o'clock is something that you can put together, and it does not interrupt your sleep. You're exactly right. I think we've probably tried several different products and different things, and this is where it's at. It does not disrupt your sleep. You feel good throughout the day. It's a nice flow to just doing what you need to do.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we're going to close this up. We want to hear your questions. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm just going to put a little thank you up here that if you would like to reach out to Tracy or myself. And also, if you are interested in getting more information about the fundamentals, about the happy juice, please reach out to the person who said, hey, you should jump on this webinar. Just let them know you jumped on and you want to find out a little bit more information. If it's Tracy or myself, then you can let us know right here in the chat. One thing that is, again, that from my heart, from Tracy's heart to your heart, is to recognize that you have the tools. You have so many tools already in your pocket, your breath, your body to move, good quality food and water, the ability to sleep. You have these tools, and we know in just our, growing up common sense that the right things to do. And when we allow our bodies the right things to do, our bodies are going to meet us and heal and find balance. So we have found that these gut-brain protocols are a really great place to start or to boost where you're at. But you do already have a handful of your own practices. We have had just extraordinary experience personally and with our clients in giving them the boost to get them moving up that continuum. Anything else to share there, Tracy?
Oh, that was perfect. So glad to be on this with you. And thank you guys so much for joining. And you're exactly right. You have everything you need on the inside of you. It's just about unlocking that intuition. I know we've all probably had that gut feeling, and trusting your gut. It's going to be so much more easier for you to trust your gut, to trust your inner knowing once it's cleared up, because there will be no miscommunication between the signals. So making sure that you're taking care of that, because that is your divine source. That is the information that you're trying to get out. That's connected to your passion and to your purpose. So ensuring that it's clear so you can be confident and go out what you're called to do, what you're called to do is key. So that is truly our passion, to help people become, including ourselves, the best version. So thank you.
Absolutely. Strong, calm, and clear. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the recording, and we're going to open this up. You guys can come on video. And for all of those of you who have watched the recording, thank you so much for staying through to the end. And we really, truly hope that we can continue to support you in some way.